So let's begin. I want you to understand that in a normal 24-hour period, which is 1 day's time, your body works in 3 different cycles. Each cycle lasts approximately 8 hours. 8 times 3 is 24, so that makes sense. But when scientists study the way your bodies work, they find that the fluids that are released, the functions of the body are rising to accommodate these different cycles throughout the day. Each of these cycles will happen at other times than that specific 8-hour period as well, but at a lower level and a lower intensity than what they run during the appropriate time that God has scheduled for the body. Just like the earth goes in a cycle of sunrise and sunset, our body follows those cycles as well. And so these cycles that I'm going to share with you really go quite along with the rising and the setting of the sun. The first cycle, when you wake up in the morning, you're in the very middle of what's called the elimination cycle. It begins about 4 a.m. and it ends about noonish. Okay? So when you wake up in the morning, your body has been working all through the night to draw the nutrients out of the foods that have been eaten, take those nutrients and convert them into energy, place them inside the cells so the cells can rebuild and repair themselves. That's literally when your body is changing, is while you're sleeping, and the nutrients that have been taken from the foods are doing their work inside the cellular level. And we're going to read some more about the things that happen while you sleep, and you'll get a little bit better picture also of those things. So when you first wake up in the morning, your body has a lot of waste products from the chemical changes that have happened converting the foods to energy. And those waste products need to be eliminated from the body. So when you wake up in the morning, the very first thing your body wants to do is to eliminate. If it doesn't want to eliminate, that's a signal to you that things are out of balance in your body. Okay? So if you do not rush to the bathroom and have not only elimination through your bladder, but also elimination through your bowel, then your number 1 goal until noon should be to do everything you possibly can to help the body get to the point where it can eliminate through the bowel before noon gets there.
Praise Jesus. Okay, got that one down. it's the next 2 that it's issue.
Yeah. And some people get up and immediately, that's what wants to happen. Yeah. And sometimes that will happen 3 or 4 days a week, and then all of a sudden we get up one morning and, oh, I don't need a bowel movement this morning. What's going on? And it usually goes right back to what you've eaten, what has been digested, what hasn't been digested, stress in your life, that sort of thing. We're going to talk about some of those things as we move forward here. But every single day is different from the day before. And if we don't consistently do the things that are necessary to keep these cycles working the way they're supposed to, they'll get imbalanced and they won't work the way they're supposed to. So every day, this is something we need to be working on and striving for. So noon, you're finished eliminating. Then you begin the second cycle, which goes from noon to 8 p.m., and that's called the feeding cycle. The appropriate name for it is the appropriation cycle, and that's putting nutrients in the body. So you think about your typical day, and that's usually mostly the time that you do the majority of the eating that you do. Before noon, we usually eat some things as well, and I honestly recommend that we do eat breakfast, that we don't skip breakfast. But the other 2 meals and snack will usually be after noon time. However, ending eating at 8 p.m. is extremely important as well, as much as possible, and we're going to talk more about that too. And then from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. is when your body is going to take the nutrients from the foods. It's called the assimilation cycle, and it draws the nutrients out so that they can be moved into the cells. So think about what happens in your life from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Sleep.
Most of that time is spent sleeping. That's why the sleeping is so important in the maintaining the balance of the body. If we do not give the body adequate time to sleep, and the sleep is not restful so that the body can accomplish all the functions it needs to accomplish while you're sleeping, then the body will not be ready for the next day. You wake up in the morning and you're already behind, and you have to try and play catch up. Well, you do that regularly, and your body is so far behind that you start getting symptoms and disease begins manifesting in your body. And once you understand those things, it goes, oh, well, duh, yeah, that makes sense, you know. So there are 4 ways that we must work with our body to keep these cycles working the way they're supposed to. Number 1, we need to feed, provide nutrition to the body on a daily basis. Number 2, we need to be sure the food that we have eaten gets completely digested. If the food's not digested, there are no nutrients to be sent to the cells. Number 3, we need to be sure that that digested food gets assimilated and actually placed into the cellular level. And that means that we have to provide the body enough rest time so that the assimilation can happen while you're resting. And then number 4, we need to be sure that we eliminate every single day the amount of toxins and waste products from the body that need to leave the body for it to remain balanced and healthy.